What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be talking about how it seems, and I want to make sure that I stress seems, like Sega and Atlus have finally woken up that people want to play Persona on platforms outside of PlayStation. And it also seems like, once again, based off of what we're going to discuss in this video, that there is no exclusivity deal or anything going down with past Persona games or even the most recent Persona game. Now, at a recent investors meeting, an investor actually asked Sega about the success of Persona 4 Golden on PC, and Sega made it seem very clear that they are going to be doing whatever they can to bring Persona to more platforms, because they finally seen the light that, oh, more platforms equals more money. Having it only on one platform equals less money. I mean, I don't know why it took them so long to realize that, but better late than never, right? So we're gonna go ahead and get into the question and the answer from Sega, and then I'm gonna add a couple other things in there myself. So let's first start off with the question here from the investors briefing. Persona 4 Golden has been selling well on Steam, but do you have any plans to sell newly released games on Steam as well? Here's the answer. We remastered Persona 4 the Golden, a title previously sold on the PlayStation Vita, and released it for sale on Steam this fiscal year. Because of the game's critical acclaim and the low selling price, sales were much stronger than expected, which they did say that sales were over 500,000 units like about a couple weeks or a few weeks after launch. So very good sales there. We will continue to actively promote porting previously released titles to Steam and new platforms. We are also negotiating with platform holders for new games in the future, and we're considering ways to sell under favorable conditions for each title. Among them are measures such as preparing PC versions of the titles from the beginning with multi-platform releases in mind. So that is a very important thing that he says there. They want to prepare with multi-platform in mind. Sega and Atlus sometimes always went into titles thinking, oh, this platform, that platform, one platform, or two platforms, or just this for just right now, and not this. It was really weird, and I've always stated that Sega, out of all of the major companies in Japan, are the furthest behind. They still do the most only on this platform or weird platform exclusive without getting any money from that platform holder. So now they've finally seen the light. They released Persona 4 Golden on Steam, and they made so much money off of that. Yes, it was low priced at $20, but the game was from 2012. And on top of that, the game was originally based on a game on the PlayStation 2. So it's not like this was a brand new super AAA release. So asking $24 or $20 and getting 500,000 units plus in the first few weeks is absolutely amazing and a lot of extra revenue. Now, Sega and Atlus have an insane amount of backlog games, and if we're going to talk about the success of Persona, because these games are extremely highly rated and you can kind of bring those games back at cheaper prices, they've finally seen that, oh, this is what people want. Now, I've heard so many stories and so many folk tales and lore that there's some type of super deal that nobody knows about, but I think Persona 4 Golden pretty much proves that no, there is no deal. They just brought it over, especially with what he had to say there. Remember, at the very end, he says, we're going into releases with PC, Steam, and multi-platform in mind, which means that they probably didn't do that before. They just went into it thinking, okay, well, we have limited resources. This is not a game that's going to sell millions upon millions of copies very quickly. So let's just go ahead and budget things and put it on a platform, and we're just going to roll with that, right? And not even really think about other stuff, which Japanese companies have done before. Heck, the PS2 era, there was a ton of that, of just free third-party exclusives for the PlayStation 2 because they wanted to budget and just keep things on one platform. Whereas now in today's day, there's so many different tools that you can use to have multi-platform development go smoother than what you would expect. I think it's just a mindset thing for them that they really just never got out of when it comes to Sega or Atlas. But now they're looking at it and saying, well, wait a minute, we can make way more money this way. And on top of that, Sega had some pretty disastrous sales results last year because they didn't have a lot of multi-platform releases and because they didn't have a lot of games selling because it seems like they didn't know where their market was exactly. Like, even if you look at like the new Sakura Wars game, only on the PlayStation 4. They didn't even think about other platforms there, whereas there's probably a lot of people who'd want to play that type of game on Steam and the Nintendo Switch, but they're just thinking with just a tunnel vision in mind when they're planning these games. So I'm glad for a number of things in this statement. One, saying that, hey, we are in talks with platform holders about new games and about porting games, and we're going to think about games going forward in the future with multi-platform in mind, because that's the way that you get it done. Look at what Koei Tecmo's been doing. They've been having great sales results because they do have that multi-platform in mind. Even with the Xbox, with some of their games as well, it being dead in Japan, but they'll still release the game in the US if they can get it done because they had multi-platform in mind from the very beginning. And for the most part, they've been pretty good with all of their games when it comes to PC, Steam, and also Nintendo Switch. So they've been pretty good with that. And they have very few games where they just say it's only going to be here or it's only going to be there, right? They do a lot of multi-platform stuff and it's paid off for them tremendously. Even if you look at like the latest game that they're talking about, which is Atelier Ryza, they have another one coming out. Well, the reason why it did so well is because it was on such a large install base with the PlayStation 4, the Nintendo Switch, and the PC, and it sold well across all the platforms. You don't need to segment yourself into one fan base or not, and if they don't like the game, or if there's a lot of competition on that platform within a game that comes out at the same time, then you're kind of screwed when it comes to your overall sales. So I don't understand what Sega was doing before, but it does seem like they've seen the light, and that light is tinted green when it comes to the shade of money, man, because they made a lot off of Persona 4 Golden. So everyone that's kind of sitting back and saying, oh, it's PlayStation exclusive and it's never going to come to other platforms, I don't think so. I don't think there's any type of deal with Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal. I think that's just a game that had PlayStation in mind because they've always developed on PlayStation, and even going forward at this point, it's a huge game that would actually be a pretty pricey port to other platforms, especially the Nintendo Switch. It wouldn't be something that's super cheap or that you could just gloss over and get it done really quickly. It actually takes some time considering how big that game is. But I do have some faith that Sega is going to see that, okay, even if we release a game years later, right, if the game is good and people want it on a platform, it can still do very well. So I can see that happening with Persona 5 Royal at some point with the Xbox or even on PC and the Nintendo Switch. And if you look at what they're saying here, it's pretty obvious that they want to do more with multi-platform because Sega's been horrible out of the major Japanese companies, one of the worst major Japanese companies when it comes to multi-platform releases. They don't do a good job at all, so I think they want to get better at that. And on top of it, they're going to make a lot more money that way. Yes, you have to invest more, but it's worth it at the end. I mean, imagine if some of these other games that were third party and you're not getting any exclusive money from Microsoft or Sony or PC or Nintendo or whatever the case is, and imagine if they just said, okay, only on this platform, and you leave this base of 70, 80 million people, or if you look at the Nintendo Switch, 60 million plus users that are just like, oh, skip that, you know? Like, nope, not for them. Or even if you look at PC and Xbox, you have literally millions upon millions of users that would like to play it on their platform of choice. So I've never understood this logic from Sega, but it seems like they're waking up. And once again, I will say it here and I'll say it again every single time, it's only a matter of time before we finally see like Persona on the Nintendo Switch, on Xbox, on PC, mainline Persona, more current Persona. Obviously, we already got Persona 4 Golden on a PC. That is mainline Persona, the first time ever that mainline Persona was on anything outside of PlayStation officially was Persona 4 Golden, Persona Q, obviously spin-off stuff. If you look at Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Strikers, people see that as a spin-off, that it's not mainline, but it's actually a sequel to Persona 5, so it kind of is, but it's not a numbered game, so people don't quite put it in that category. But either way, those were the signs to me. When I saw Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Strikers coming to the Nintendo Switch, when I saw stuff like Persona 4 Golden coming to PC, that tells me that they're saying, okay, hold up here. There's more than just PlayStation 4 Persona. And even if you look at Persona Q, that was the second time that the Persona brand was outside of PlayStation. We had the Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. That was a fighting game that ended up coming to Xbox 360, but any type of single player Persona game, the first time ever was Persona Q. So I already kind of knew that there was something brewing there, and there was 2 of those games. So to me, I think it's going to happen. We're just going to have to wait and see. I mean, it might be 8 years from now, like it took for Persona 4 Golden to come to PC. But at some point, it's going to be multi-platform. At some point, they're going to say, okay, we can't just be putting it on one platform and limit our sales. We've got to expand, and I think that this is the start of it, and you can clearly see with what Sega is saying here to their investors. So what do you guys think about this when it comes to Persona and multi-platform releases in the future and ports of older games coming over to new platforms? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the link to the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.